We're going to start in a meditation. So if you prefer to stay seated, you can always stay seated as well. And if you don't want your video on, please feel free to turn it off. I'm just going to give you as many instructions as I can. And as we go along, if I see anyone that's doing anything really random, I won't say your name, but I'll just give you extra instructions. So just make sure that you have a couple cushions nearby, maybe a blanket if you need one. It's quite hot, but you might need it, just a little bit of extra padding. Selena, you're looking very cozy there. I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes, or just a minute, in case anybody else joins in. And then we'll get started. So as some of you have got your videos off, and I can't see as well, all of you. Hello, Caroline. Just make sure that you're practicing really compassionately, so you're not pushing yourself too far, you're really listening to your body. If anything feels not right, just make sure that you're always practicing in a way that feels right for you, and just modify it to suit your body for today. So it doesn't matter whether you could do it yesterday or you could do it last year, just do what feels good for your body for today's practice. And always try to use an intelligent awareness. So if something doesn't feel good, or if you've done one side in one way and the other side feels like it needs something slightly different, just modify it so you're really practicing to balance your body. And just if you need to come out, always come out of the shape earlier. We're going to be practicing for about 5 minutes in each shape. So just practice in a way that feels good for you today. So we're going to start with a meditation. So you can either stay laying down or come to a seat. And if you just put your playlist on now, you can start from the beginning. So just take a moment to just close down the eyes, or have a really soft gaze, so that you're starting to draw your awareness, your energy into the body. Just becoming aware of the breath, not trying to change it at all, just acknowledging how it feels. Noticing if there's any tightness or tension in the body as you're breathing in and out. And seeing if you can relax those areas, so relaxing through groin, pelvic floor, the abdomen and the rib cage, and particularly around the shoulders, the jaw, and your eyebrows. And just feeling any bodily sensations that are arising as you come into a space of stillness. And just scanning through, checking in with your body, allowing yourself to ground into the space. Becoming aware of the space that you're in. Noticing how much space you have around you and how much space you take up on your mat. Listening out for any sounds that you can hear other than the music and my voice. And just casting your hearing out as far as you can without trying to strain, just taking in the environment and the atmosphere that you're in. And as you start to settle into this space, just allowing any background noises to become like a distant hum in the background. And then moving your awareness into your heart center. And first just breathing into that space, acknowledging how it feels today. Acknowledging any emotions that are sitting within the heart space today. I'm not trying to judge, just becoming aware and allowing whatever it is that's sitting with you today to really be present. That you allow it within yourself, within this space. And that this is a space for you to transform, transmute, to release, to acknowledge, and to really find your center, find where it is that you can come back into that space of peace and calm. So that we have the fluctuations of the emotional body all the time, every day, we can always come back into that center space if we just take that moment to really find stillness, to find the breath, and to find the awareness that we can move into. And then just gently moving your awareness up to the third eye point, so in between the eyebrows. And softening around the eyebrows, temples, the eyes, in between the eyebrows. And as the gaze is moving just up in between the eyebrows, acknowledging if there's anything that you see or sense or feel from this space. Moving more into the mental body. Just acknowledging what's coming up for you today. And again, not judging, just becoming aware, tuning in. And as we tune in, we can start to create a little bit of space from this. So we can really find the space to be present, to be connected to ourselves, and practice in a way that our body needs to come back into balance. And then lastly, coming back to your breath. Just noticing any changes in the breath. I'm just going to stay here for a moment, a minute or so, just really feeling the breath moving through the body. And as you breathe in, it can be in through the nose and out through the mouth with a sigh, or in and out through the nose. Just use the breath in a way that feels very good for you. So there's no particular way to breathe in Yin Yoga. As long as it's steady, calm, and very effortless and natural. Sometimes it's nice to do big sighs to help us release. Sometimes it's good to yawn to help the internal body relax. Sometimes you might want to practice Ujjayi if you're feeling a stretch is quite intense. So just sitting here and mindful of our breathing and allowing the breath, the pranic breath, to flood into every cell in the whole body. So as we inhale, we're breathing more light, more energy, more love into the body. And as we exhale, we're clearing anything that's not serving, anything that feels heavy in the body, and making more space for ourselves to invite more of that light energy, that prana into the body. Just taking one final round here. And then if it feels good for you, you can bring one hand onto your heart and one hand onto your belly. Or you can bring your hands into prayer. Whatever feels good for you to connect into your core. And we're just going to set an intention for our practice today. So just asking yourself, why am I doing yoga today? What is my intention? And when we put our focus on our intention, and we could even offer our practice up to someone, or it could be for ourselves, it could be for something bigger than ourselves. We're flooding that energy into our practice, into our everyday life, into the world around us. And it helps us to really give an attention to where we're going, why we're doing this. It gives us a bigger meaning than just physical practice. So just repeat your intention again to yourself 2 more times so that really sinks in. And take a nice deep breath in and sigh out through the mouth. Releasing that focus, then you can gently start to flicker open the eyes. So we're going to come into our first shape, which is butterfly. So for this one, you may need to use a bolster or pillow or 2 cushions. So if you have a thick pillow, you might want to use it underneath the backs of the knees. We're going to take the soles of the feet together and let the knees drop apart. We can either work in a forward fold, so coming over and resting down over the bolster, over the legs, or we could work with the cushions underneath the knees, just to prop up and support, coming forward again. Or if that feels a little bit too strong, you can always stay from a seat. If you feel that you're kind of rolling back into your sit bones, you might want to use your blanket underneath your sit bones, so you've got a nice little ledge. So just lift the hips up a little bit higher so that the pelvis can tilt forward. Or again, you can always come to lay down if that doesn't feel good. So you might want to lay flat down, or you might want to use a bolster behind your lower back, which is really nice to help open up the heart as well. So wherever you are, just finding a good space to come into and making as many adjustments as you need. We're going to be here for 5 minutes. So I will demonstrate to you the pose, and then I'll let you get into the shape, and then I'll come out of the shape. So if you look to the screen and I'm not in the shape, that's fine, just stay as you are, and I'll let you know when we're coming in and out. So first, just let yourself settle in, just acknowledge where you're at to begin with. So in Yin, we always want to practice very slow, and with Stira and Sukhin, which is steady and comfortable. So the practice is never forced, it's never rushed. We're moving into a Yin way of being, which is very passive, it's slow, yielding and nourishing, and very allowing. So we want to really surrender into each shape, into our bodies. And we're never forcing ourselves to move past where we feel is good for us for today. So it can sometimes feel a little challenging as we're holding postures for a little bit longer than you would in maybe a vinyasa class. But it's a nice way to really draw your energies back into your body to help replenish energies, to give you space in your mind, to let yourself just fall into your own self. It's a very mindful practice in which it helps us to build a strong awareness of our mental patterns, the way our minds respond and react to different stresses and tensions. And in this way we can slowly start to build non-attachment, equanimity and contentment with ourselves and where we're at every day. And the more we practice Yin, the more we can really see the workings of our mind and how the body responds to being placed into different situations. So for today's practice, we're going to be working the kidney and urinary bladder meridian lines. I'll explain to you in a second where they run, just so you understand what target areas we're going to try to move into today. And the kidney governs the balance of all of the organs in the body. It's the foundation of yin and yang, and it's a space for birth, reproduction and metamorphosis. So it's always looking at the dualities of yin and yang, and in everything that we do, finding the balance in our day-to-day lives, finding the balance in our minds, in our habits, in our routines. And it really looks at the polarities of life. So nothing is good or bad, it's just a space of balancing. And as you practice, you may feel some stronger emotions coming up. We're just coming up to halfway now, so if you need to adjust or adapt where you are, feel free to move deeper into the shape or lessen the shape and come out a little bit. And coming back to that idea of finding balance. When we're working with the shadow aspect of ourselves and working with stronger emotions such as fear, which is stored in the kidneys, we're looking to find how we can balance that. So sometimes it's fear of pushing further into the shape, fear of moving forward, fear of opening up to ourselves more. And when we're looking at this shadow aspect of ourselves, maybe you might start to look more deeply as you practice Yin. It's all about asking yourselves the right questions. And especially during this time of quarantine when life is very different, it's very unsettled, and we may feel like we're completely out of sorts and out of rhythms. Some nice questions could be, how can I cultivate appropriate rhythms in my life and live a balanced life? And during this time in particular, I've been looking at ways that aren't serving me, looking to what feels right and what feels wrong in my life. And it's a nice time to look at things as stress, work, overcommitting to things which tax the kidneys. And when we're working really strongly, we're working hard, we're pushing ourselves quite far, we're working very yang. So even in today's practice, allow yourself to be as yin as you can. Let yourself rest as much as you can. Take the easy option if you need to. But if you feel that you need to work a little bit stronger, you can always push yourself to your edge. So we're just going to take our last round of breath here. And then take your time to slowly come up and out. And we can use the hands on the knees to gently bring the knees back up to center. And you might want to just come to hug the knees into the chest from a seat. Or it might feel good to lean back into the hands and take some knee sways. Or it could feel good for your spine if you fold it forward to come to lay onto your back and hug the knees into the chest. Maybe take some little rock side to side. Taking any movements that feel good. If I don't say anything and it feels nice for you to move in that way, always let yourself move how your body needs. So this is your rebound phase. And as we come through the rebound, we're just allowing the meridian lines to come back into a space of balance and into a more natural shape. So the prana and the energy, the chi, can flow back through these meridian lines with ease, and you might start to notice shifts, movements in the body, flushes of energy or a heat or a cold sensation. We're just taking a couple more rounds of breath before we come into the next shape. Okay, so when you're ready, we're going to come up and over onto all fours to come to lay down into Sphinx. So if you've got bony hips, or if you want a little bit of extra padding, you might want to bring a blanket underneath your hip bones. Or you could use a rolled up blanket, so you can roll it into a nice little noodle shape. And you might want to rest that underneath the chest to give you a little bit of support or a lift. Or you could always use that underneath your ankles, if that feels nice to have that there to give you a little bit of support underneath your feet. If you've got a cushion or a bolster, you might want to bring the bolster underneath the chest to give you a little bit of a lift here. Or you can always work taking the elbows slightly further away from you or closer in. So the further away the elbows are from the body, the less of an extension in the spine. And if you bring the elbows closer in, you're going to be able to lift up the chest a little bit higher and create a deeper back bend. The hands can be flat or together. You might want to rest your chin onto your hands. Or if you've got a really tight neck, it might feel nice to look down toward your hands and let your spine feel long here. If you feel that you've got any tension through the hip bones, I quite like to lift my legs up and stretch the toes back just so I feel more open in my hip flexor. And you could also give yourself a little wriggle so that you feel nice and soft through the legs, through the glutes, through your lower back. So again, we're going to be here for 5 minutes. We're just taking up any prop support that you might need. So I'm just going to explain to you where the meridian lines run so that you can get an idea of where we're working into, where we're trying to clear and open. So the kidney meridian line is the Yin meridian. It works in yin-yang pair, and the Yin travels up the body. So the kidney meridian begins at the little toe in each foot, and it runs through the sole of the foot, through the arch and up the inside of the knees and legs, all the way through the groin, entering the torso near the tailbone. And then it moves along the sides of the body. So it runs along the sides of the lower spine and then connects internally with the bladder and the kidneys. and it also moves externally over the abdomen and the chest, internally flowing through the liver, diaphragm and the lungs, and it goes all the way through the throat, ending at the root of the tongue. And the urinary bladder meridian, which is the yang pair, runs down the body, and it starts at the inside of the eyes. It goes up the forehead and across the crown of your head, entering the brain. So this is how we know that we need to go to the toilet, where it connects in here. And then it runs down the back of the body parallel to the spine. The branch goes into the body at the lumbar spine and connects with the kidneys and urinary bladder. And the outer branches run all the way down the backs of the legs and end at the little toes also. So this one we're working more strongly to actually compress into the kidneys. The kidneys are just below the floating ribs in the back body. So they come about midway down your back. And here we want to try to make as much space in the kidneys. So although we're compressing and pushing backwards in our back bend, we want to try to elongate and lengthen out. So we're really opening that space. And as we come into a back bend, we're stimulating and compressing the kidneys, so that as we come out, we get a really nice flush of energy through the physical organs, but also we're working this whole back line of the body. So we're about halfway through now. We'll stay here for another 2.5 minutes. Just seeing if you can find any space to maybe stretch a little more through the spine. Maybe relax a little bit more through the muscles in the legs, the glutes, shoulders. And just pay attention to the jaw, the eyebrows, the neck and shoulders if you're clenching, and also in the glutes. You want to try to really soften and surrender. Just coming for our last minute. If you feel that you want to increase the stretch a little more, you might want to push into the hands and start to straighten through the arms to come into Sphinx, which is a deeper back bend, but always coming into an edge that feels good. We're not working into any pain. But if that feels a little too much, you can also come down, just stacking the forearms and resting the forehead down. So well done, guys. We're just taking our last round of breath. And then if you come into seal, you can slowly start to relax the elbows down. We can shift the elbows forward, and you can either make a pillow with your hands and rest your forehead down, or you might want to take your arms out to the side or back and rest your cheek to the side. And it might feel good to take a little wriggle through your hips, or it might feel nice to bend the knees and sway the feet side to side so the soles of the feet are shining toward the ceiling. This helps to just release your lower back. If there's any other movements that might feel nice, feel free to move in a way that feels good. Just taking a minute in a rebound. So just watch how your body feels as you come out of each shape. Notice what releases you feel, where in your body do you feel it? Did you feel that you needed to rush out? Or was it quite effortless to come out? If we ever feel like we're rushing to get out, then maybe we've pushed ourselves a little bit too far past our edge. Nice, okay. So when you're ready, you're just going to gently bring the hands beside the chest and push yourself up onto all fours. And then if you want to take any movements for a tabletop position, maybe some sway side to side, so like tail swishes, or a cat-cow might feel nice. Or if you want to come into a down dog, it might feel good to have a little stretch out through the legs and spine that way. Or if you want to come straight into the next shape, we're going to be moving into child's pose, so you can come straight there. That feels good to come in first off. So again, you might want a blanket underneath the ankles, or it might feel good to bring a blanket behind the backs of the knees if you've got any knee issues. It just creates a bit more space in the knees. You might want to use a pillow under the chest. If you've got a bolster or a really long, thick pillow, you might want to use that in between just the knees, and then you can rest the body and the torso and your head onto the bolster. We're working to lengthen into the kidney area this time and stretch the back of the spine, and also compressing into the hamstrings and calves, which is where the urinary bladder meridian line runs. So it doesn't matter too much about your arms. If it feels good to have them forward, you might want to push back gently with the hands, or it might feel nice for you to take the hands back beside your feet. Just rest the shoulders. I quite like to sometimes hold on to my heels, and that gives me a little bit more space to pull myself closer to the floor. Or rest your hands onto your lower back, so you've got a bit of weight pushing your sit bones down. Use as much prop as you need, and then we're here for 5 minutes. So as we come into child's pose, a very nourishing shape for the body. It focuses our mind up to the third eye point, where we're resting the forehead down onto the earth. It's very grounding. As we rest the forehead down to the earth, the body is closing off towards the earth. And it also signifies to the nervous system to move into parasympathetic response. So to rest, digest, draw inward, relax. And it's like a fetal shape, child's pose. So it's a shape that feels very familiar to us from birth. From being safe inside the womb, we're drawing inward. And some people really love this shape, other people find it a little bit too much or claustrophobic, or can cause strong emotions as we draw inward. If you're not used to drawing your energy and your awareness into the body, it can feel a little bit too much. So just paying attention to what arises and how you feel as you move into this next shape. And really see if you can melt a little bit more into it. So you're letting go of any holding. You're allowing yourself to really compress the hamstrings, the calves. Feel the support of the earth coming up to meet you. And for this one, I quite like to visualize my kidneys. So again, just middle of the back of the body, underneath the floating ribs. And visualize the breath moving and flooding into this area. So as you breathe in, imagine the kidneys are puffing up and open and expanding with light. And as you exhale, you're clearing any low energy, any dark energy out of the kidneys to be replenished with this light. We're actively helping our kidneys to replenish. And if you're someone that finds that you're constantly working, you're rushing around, you're always in stress mode, the kidneys are going to be the first to take the hit. Now the step-up transformers that convert Jing energy, which is your essence energy, into energy to be used for whatever it is that you're going forward with. It's also the adrenals that get attacked, but focusing on this class today, kidneys, we want to really allow as much energy to move into the kidney area as we can, to replenish, to transform, and to really support and help the kidneys. Just here for about another minute and a half. So in the world that we live in, it's really hard to stay still, to find moments of quiet and peace and stillness. And one of the 3 tapas, or the 3 principles of Yin, is to resolve to remain still. And as we still the body, we start to allow the mind to come into a much more still, calm space. And there's 3 ways of finding the stillness. Body, you can imagine like a mountain, strong and steady, holding firm in its place. The breath, you can imagine like a calm lake. And the mind, you can imagine a deep blue sky, peaceful and never changing. We're just taking our last round of breath here in child's pose. And then when you're ready, you can slowly start to push up and you can come to sit back onto your heels. Just take a moment. And then when you're ready, just gently bring in yourself onto your side. Come into sit down. You can take the legs out in front of us. And just give your feet a little flexing point and a circle round. You can lean back into your hands. Might feel nice to drum the legs or to scrunch the toes. Might feel nice to lift up the heart and just take a little lean back. Just take a quick rebound. Okay, so from here you're going to move into half dragonfly. So we're preparing to take a little bit more movement into the groin. So if you grab your right foot and you bring it all the way up into the inside of your left leg, and we're going to try to send that right knee back. So ideally the knee is coming down toward the floor, but if it feels that it's really high up or it's hard to let that knee relax, grab a pillow and just wedge it up against the hip so you've got a nice support to press down into. And we want to turn the body so that we're facing toward our long leg on the left side. And you can work to flex the foot if that feels nice, or you can point the toe, whatever feels best, or just let the foot feel floppy out to the side. And I've got hypermobility, so for me I like to take a blanket underneath the back of my knee, just so that the joint isn't pushing way past and you've got a good support for that leg. So we're working more into the muscle, well, into the tendons rather than into the back of the knee joint. We want to stretch deeper past the muscles and into the tendons. And then we can start to twist the body so that we're facing the chest in line with the leg. And you can either just stay and then a little bit of a fold, bringing the hands to the floor either side of your leg. Or you can start to pad yourself forward so the arms come a little bit longer. And then if you feel good, you can start to curve into the spine. So the forehead is edging toward your knee or your shin. Or if you're staying more lifted, you can just let the head drop. The more we can let the head drop and fold into it, the more we can really stretch and open the spine. And then that way we can start to open into the kidneys. We get a really good amount to really breathe and open into, the more that we can fold into it. So this one, we're targeting the hamstrings and the calves on your left leg, and on your right leg we're working into the right groin. Also working up the back body, so we're targeting quite a good amount of the meridian lines in this shape. So it can be quite a strong one, so just come into it as far as feels good. But if you take a few breaths and you feel that you can move a little bit further in, just allow yourself to slowly edge further into the shape. We're only going to be here for about another minute and a half, 2.5 minutes in total each side. So we're just taking our last round of breath here. And then just slowly start to unravel yourself. And we can use our hand on the side of the knee to gently guide that knee back up. Take the leg out long, and we'll go straight onto the left side. So just moving anything that you used onto the other side if you need it. And then the left foot's going to come into the right groin, pushing that left knee back so we get a good opening into the left groin. And then we can start to twist the body so the chest is in line with the right leg, and slowly start to come down just as far as feels good on this side. If it feels nice, again letting the head drop so you get that good rounding into your spine. Just acknowledging any differences on this side. So the body has its yin and yang pair also. The yin side is our left side, and it's governed by the right side of the brain. And this is our feminine aspect, more mysterious, passive, darker elements, and more about surrender. And the right side of the body is our yang, which is our masculine energies. Our action, logical thinking, doing. It's much more of an active element. So as we see both sides of the body, just acknowledging what feels different each side. One side felt more easy or comfortable. And it gives us a little bit more insight into how our mind works. Way more comfortable with being creative, more feminine energies, or more used to action and doing, logic, more masculine energies. And our yin practice is a really, really great way to help us balance this and to counteract what we do in our everyday life. So if we are more action, doing, thinking logically, practicing yin gives us that nice balance. And if we are more yin already, this gives us a little bit more space to drop into that, or maybe practicing yin in a more yang way. We're just taking our last round of breath here. And then we can slowly start to roll up. Taking the knee into the hand and gently guide the knee back off the centre. And then you might want to just hug in, making a small ball with the back. Or it might feel good to just lean back and take some sways again through the legs. And then we're going to be moving into straddle or dragonfly for our last shape. So this one you might want to turn width ways onto your mat, so you've got mat underneath your ankles. And for me, I like to use a blanket. So if I take my blanket out width ways, I can roll it into a noodle and then use that underneath the backs of my knees to give my knees a little bit of support. So just go to as far as feels good in the feet width ways. And if you feel like you're really leaning back into your seat and you don't need your blanket, or if you've got a cushion, you might want to take your cushion or roll your blanket up so it's like a little ledge, and then you can just bring that underneath your sit bones and almost lean forward off of the blanket, so you've got a bit of a tilt in the pelvis, so you're kind of already moving forward. Take up as much support in this one as you need. We're going to be here for 5 minutes. And then if you've got another pillow, you might want to bring that in front of you and you can rest your elbows. Or you can take it lengthways away from you and start to fold down over. You might want to even hug it and rest your head here. Or you can hug it this way, rest your forehead or your chin. Or if it feels really strong for you to fold forward and this is already enough, you can stay here or lean backwards. So just find whichever way feels good for you to move into this. And also you can play around with your feet, so maybe pointing, flexing, letting the feet relax, whatever feels good for you. And if you don't need any support, you can always come to rest onto your elbows, or you can stretch your arms out and relax down. So as we move into this shape, it's a lot more about vulnerability and the fear around the hips, the pelvis. You might feel this. It's a little bit of an unnatural shape to be into, so the body responds with what's being stored here. So if this is really too strong for you, always modify it so it's slightly lesser, or you can take your feet to the floor so the knees are bent. Just pay attention to what it feels like as you come into your edge. And after taking a few rounds, maybe moving slightly deeper in or coming out. And the more we can pay attention to what sensations arise, what emotions are coming up, we can start to acknowledge what we're storing in different parts of our body. And this could be from injury or surgery, can be from emotional trauma or memory. It could be a repeated posture that targets into specific areas of the body that causes tension or tightness or pain. It could be a way of thinking, habitual thought or pattern in the mind that creates stress in these body parts. And as we find these areas of tension and blockages, and resistance, this is what we want to work into, to really breathe and open, so that we remove these blockages in the meridian pathways. And as we do that, we allow a more effortless flow of chi through the meridian line. And it allows more harmony to move back into this part of the body, into the meridian, and brings more harmony into the physical, the emotional, the mental. And we come into that space of balance again that I was talking about. We're only here for just 1 more minute. Doing really good. Just stay with it for the last minute if you can. We're just taking our last round breath here. Preparing ourselves to move. We can come out really, really slowly with this one. So we want to come out as slowly as you can so that we don't shock the nervous system. And then when you get to a lifted position, just take a moment. And then you can use the hands behind the back of the knee. So just gently grabbing one leg and bringing that into the middle. And then grab behind the other knee and gently bring that into the middle. And it might feel nice to hug in, or it could feel good to just come onto your back and hug the knees in. We're going to be moving into Shavasana from the next one. So if it feels nice to come down and lay down straight away, you might want to set yourself up for your Shavasana already. If you need any props, you might want to take a bolster underneath the backs of the knees or underneath the feet, so you've got a little lift in the legs. You might want to blanket underneath your head or behind your lower back or over you. If it feels good to just lay with legs out long, you can work from here, or it might feel good to come into butterfly reclined, maybe using pillows underneath your knees. Or if you want to give your lower back a little bit more support, just bringing your feet to the floor, so knees are bent. Take your feet quite wide and then turn the toes in, the heels turn out, and that lets your knees drop in toward one another so you can relax through the inner leg. Just take any final movements that feel good for you to come into your Shavasana. And then once you've found a good space to rest into, take a nice deep breath in and sigh the breath out. And just taking as many of those breaths as feels good, really breathing into the belly and letting go of the breath in a sigh or a yawn. And as you gently close down through the eyes, just paying attention to how the body feels. Noticing if there's any more space within the body that you can move into to open up. Take up as much space on the mat as you can. And I want you to focus on tense the muscles and then relax the muscles. So first, starting with the feet, squeeze the toes, squeeze the soles of the feet, squeeze the top of the foot, squeeze the ankle, relax as you exhale. And then squeeze the calf muscles, squeeze the shins, squeeze, 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 and as you exhale, relax. Moving up to the thighs, squeezing the hamstrings, the quads, sides of the legs, squeezing into the glutes, into the top of the glutes, squeeze the pelvic floor, lift, lift, lift. And as you exhale, relax. Feel the legs are really, really heavy. And then we're squeezing into the core, tighten up the abdominals, squeeze them back, squeeze the back muscles, squeeze the rib cage, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And as you exhale, relax. Feel the torso soften. And then moving up to the chest, squeeze the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades, squeeze the shoulders, squeeze the arms, the biceps, triceps, forearms, squeeze the palms, make your hands into a fist, squeeze the fingers in, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then as you exhale, relax the arms, chest, upper back. And then squeeze in the neck. You can make a tense face with your jaw, clenching your teeth together, squeeze the facial muscles, squeeze the ears, the scalp, the eyebrows, the eyelids, crunch your face up, squeeze, 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 and then relax. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, gently blow the breath out through pursed lips. Noticing that sense of calm washing over your whole body. Feeling a heaviness to your body as you sink into the earth. Feel completely supported. A lightness to your body as you breathe in the light energy of prana around you. Filling your whole body up with lightness, with calm energy. And as you exhale, feeling your body surrender a little bit more into the earth. So when we can start to translate where we're holding tension, holding pain and fear in the body, we can really move into operating into those areas of the body to investigate and acknowledge, to find that awareness that we hold. We can start to transmute all of that fear, that pain into positive energy, to strength, to lightness, into love. And as we acknowledge more what's going on inwardly, how we respond to the world outwardly, we can really change the way that we view the world and how we respond to the world. We're just allowing yourself to really sink inward, not having to do anything to go anywhere. Just breathing in lightness, exhaling out any fears, any pain, and filling up with that light and love energy that's always around. Just slowly starting to breathe a little bit more life and energy back into your physical body. Gently wiggling through the fingers, the toes. Maybe circling the wrists, the ankles, or flexing and pointing the feet. It might feel nice to hug the knees into the chest, or maybe take a full body stretch. It might feel good to take some knee sways. Whatever movements feel nice for you to slowly come back into your body. And then when you're ready, you can gently roll to your side. Just take a moment. And then when you're ready, you can slowly start to press yourself up to a seat. Just finding a comfortable seat. And then we can slowly bring hands into prayer, or again rest one hand onto your heart and one onto your belly. And just take a moment to close down through the eyes or have a soft gaze. Just come back to your breath. Come back to your intention, why you're practicing. Acknowledge all that came up for you. And as you exhale, allow it to release, letting go of your practice. And as you inhale, filling up with strength, with courage, with love, wisdom, light, and grounded energy. And as you exhale, releasing anything that you don't need. Offering gratitude to yourself, taking this time for you to connect back in. Offering gratitude for each other. Thank you so much everyone for coming. And offering gratitude to our bodies for all that they do for us. Namaste. Thank you so much everyone. Love you all very much. Thank you so much for coming to practice. It's so nice to see you all. If you've got